First of all, it's been great to be at this event. Two amazing games to learn from. We come to win, and we talk a lot. We have a saying in our program that defeat and victory are both a part of competition. So there's only one of two things are going to happen. So we came here to win. So I'm disappointed that we didn't win. But I do the big picture, which is what I have to keep our head on, is there's value sometimes and honor a little bit in losing if you compete at a level that provides hope. And I think our guys are going to walk out of here with hope that we're learning. We're not ducking anyone. We're taking big time chances. We're taking big time risks. And how do we do things a little bit better? Because it's 59-55 with 11 minutes or maybe less to go. And how do we just keep doing what we were doing for 31 or 30 minutes and finish it down the end? And that's what we have to learn how to do. But the only way you learn how to do it is to be in these shared experiences together. But there's honor in the way we competed out here today.
Please go ahead.
Hey, Coach, you in that last part of the second half, how much was their ability to get out in transition and drive to the basket? Was that the determining factor down the stretch?
Statistically, for sure, it is. But then you got to go to what led to that. And it was a little bit of poor Fuller balance on shooting. We took some long shots, a little bit fatigued. We crashed the offensive glass. We didn't get it. Our first three strides weren't great getting back. And, I think our guys their spirit could break a little bit. You just can't do that for even a half a second. There's no option but to compete on every play when you're playing against great teams. So that will be the deciding factor in the game, because statistically that's what it says it is. But the reasons that it got to that, some of those things were within our control, and some of it Kansas just has great players, and that's what they do.
Michael, please go ahead.
Coach, what's going on, man?
Well, Michael, how are you, sir?
Pretty good. Coach, what do you think, in the first half, you come out and score 25 in the first 10 minutes, and then in the second half you score 10 in the first 2 minutes pretty much. What changed as far as the ball movement? That it looked like it became more stagnant, later in the half, in each half. What do you think led to that?
Yeah, well, it looked that way because it was that way. One, Kansas's defense. I'd say they deserve credit. Sometimes the opponent's just not going to agree with what they did. And then we just stopped playing total basketball. The way this roster is made up, we need total basketball players. We cannot just have one screen setter out there. All five guys have to do that. You've got to cut. And sometimes you're going to cut and not get it, particularly against their switches. But you might not get it, but you've now made the defense shift, and then the next guy might catch it and be able to attack a closeout, and we didn't do that. And we have decent one-on-one players. We have some really good one-on-one players. But one-on-one off an isolated dribble is not at all how we want to play in most situations. So we just did that too much, and I think that's what the difference was. But also Kansas's defense deserves credit.
Josh Rowland, please go ahead.
Billy, through two games, haven't gotten a ton of production yet from Ramir Moore, Cam Brown. Greg Foster hasn't shot it well. Is that something that's a concern for you through these two games, or do you chalk that up to, beginning of the season and the level of opponent you're playing?
I mean, I'm a coach. Everything's a concern. It's just I'm not intensely concerned. It's just, all right, how do we get them better? So, what do we need to do to produce? Is it confidence? Is it spirit? Is it player development? More of it? Is it getting these guys used to playing with different people? So it's just searching for the answers of those, but I have no doubt in any of those guys. We want them to stay on the attack, and 5 for 9 and 1 for 9 is a very fine line. It's just a few more makes here or there. We believe in those guys, and we'll continue to ask them to be aggressive.
Jesse Newell, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach, Kansas went 5 out for about the last 18 minutes. What do you think that did for them?
Anytime any team goes 5 out, whether it's Kansas or not, it makes your defense have to have a heavy emphasis on the shifts of your help. So that all that does is just make us have to come in more. They have a great player in McCormick who they chose not to play. So it put them in a different offensive mode, but that's nothing that we don't see every day when we compete in our training sessions. But what it does is it just puts a heavy emphasis on your off-ball defense.
Alex Martin, please go ahead.
Coach, you went 6-26 last year, yet you continue to schedule real tough. You got Villanova coming up here in a couple days. Do you just feel like this is the best way to develop your program to to have your kids face this tough competition and see what they're made of?
Yeah, I mean, last year I don't even think about it. Like that's just a totally different chapter in the story. So I don't connect those two things. So what I do is I look at this team and I look at what the vision is for St. Joe's, built on this incredible foundation that I was able to inherit here. And that's exactly what you just said. It's like let's wake up, let's create a vision, let's create an identity that is kind of there. It's aligned with the spirit of our university. Like we're resilient, we're optimistic, we're faithful, and these are great games to do it. Plus, we're in a pandemic, and like this was not the way our schedule was supposed to be. So we're trying to find games and grow at the same time. But this is not what the schedule looked like at the beginning. But we'll do whatever. We'll play anybody, anywhere, anytime. That's the spirit of our program.
Take one more from DeMichael, and then we'll move on to Demir.
Coach, how would you explain the correlation between, missing a lot of those shots early in the shot clock that led to a lot of transition baskets for Kansas?
Well, I mean, if they're long threes, they're going to equal long rebounds. So, we have to have either you're going to the glass or you're getting back. And we give them great freedom in that. But we ask them, like, when we review it, you have to be doing one or the other. And usually when you try to play with pace, it takes time for guys to learn how to like play in the second split of the shot clock. Like anybody can play with pace in the first split of the shot clock. And sometimes you'll get good shots and sometimes you're going to take some poor ones, but it's the patience with the pace to play in the second split that might have eliminated some of those runouts that they got. But I would actually say they correlate great. It's a great point by you.
Thanks, Coach. We'll bring up Demir next.